Hello, my name's Eric, and welcome to the Big Man's Outdoors. I want to talk today a little bit about some load development I'm doing for the 224 Valkyrie, specifically with 85 grain Barnes match burners and 95 grain Sierra Match Kings. The 85 grain Barnes match burners is a bullet that I'm coming back around to. I had initially developed a load with that bullet using Reloder-16, and Reloder-16 is a temperature sensitive powder, and I wanted to come back around and look at different powders that were temperature insensitive, like H4350 and Reloder-16. And also with the Reloder-17, my velocities weren't as high as I would have liked them to be. They were averaging around 2639 is the number that I have written down, and I feel like I could push them a little bit faster. So that's why I'm coming back to that bullet, and then also the 95 grain Sierra Match King. I was doing a test on those with Reloder-16 as well. I had worked through some H4350 with that bullet, and again the velocities were a little bit lower than I would have liked them to be, so I wanted to come back around and finish that load development as well. I was working with that bullet when I started to run into some issues with my brass, in the sense that my groups really opened up when I was using I think 4 times fired brass, and I needed to anneal them. So I wanted to come back around and finish up those bullets. For this particular group of loads, I am using Federal once fired factory brass. I'm using Winchester small rifle primers, and for the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings, I am using 25.6 grains of Reloder-16 at a cartridge overall length of 2.30 inches, and I have a 50 thousandths inch jump with that overall length. Now, when I did the Saturday load initially, I had 2 nodes for the Reloder-16. One of them fell around the 25.6 grains. The other one was about 26.4 grains of Reloder-16. But one of the things I noticed when I was doing my brass study with that powder when I shot those is the necks. I noticed a bunch of, not a bunch, but a couple of the necks were splitting. I think 2 or 3 of that group. So I feel like I'm either running into a case capacity issue where I'm compressing that powder too much, or it's pressure. There's nothing wrong in the sense of seeing flattened primers or blown out primers or anything like that, but the necks were splitting. So I wanted to bump that back down a little bit, almost a whole grain of powder, just to see if that helped out with my neck splitting issue. So that's where I'm at with the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings. With the 85 grain Barnes match burner, I am using 26.8 grains of Reloder-16 and also 26.8 grains of H4350. I am loading that to a cartridge overall length of 2.16 inches, and that gives me a 20 thousandths inch jump on that bullet at that overall length. Now, the reason why I chose that particular load is for both of those powders, that's my load for the 90 grain Sierra Match King as well. That seemed to give me decent results with both of those powders, so I wanted to try it at a little bit lighter bullet. 85 grains, obviously less than 90 grains, so I should be okay as far as pressure and all that. So that's again why I chose that particular load. So let's go ahead and head out to the range, check the range video, and we'll come back to the bench and talk about results. Okay, now we're back. The first group that I shot was 8 rounds with the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings, and if you look at the target, things kind of went sideways on me. We'll come back and talk about this in more detail. I didn't measure this out because this group is just horrendous. So, like I said, we'll just come back and talk about this in a minute. So moving on to the 85 grain Barnes match burner with Reloder-16. That was a 0.67 inch group, 0.64 MOA. I am shooting at 100 yards. Now, I did get velocity readings on this, and my velocity readings across the board, even with the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings and the H4350, were pretty, I guess, not as good as I expected. I've gotten considerably better results with velocity numbers, but I'll go through them here. So, for the Reloder-16, I had a low of 27.05, a high of 28.32, an average of 27.66, an extreme spread of 127.8, and a standard deviation of 47.27. Now those are just the worst numbers that I've got for Reloder-16, and that surprises me because usually Reloder-16 is very good as far as velocity numbers. It's usually in the smaller SD, smaller extreme spreads, things like that. This was a very cold day, 24 degrees outside when I was shooting it, but this is supposed to be a temperature insensitive powder. So I'm not quite sure what's happening with my chronograph. I am shooting undercover. I do have some fluorescent lights, but I do have a lights that I put on top of the chronograph. I'm using a Chronie Beta Master. So it does have a photo eye. I don't know if that maybe had something to do with these numbers. I don't know, but I don't like the numbers and I don't trust them. So take that with a grain of salt. Moving on to the H4350. I had a 1.1 inch group, 0.97 MOA, but I did have 3 bullets that almost ended up in the same hole, and then 2 that were a little high. So that group probably could have been a lot better had I just shot better. The velocity numbers on this, again, were 25.52 low, 2600 high, 25.76 average, 48.25 extreme spread, and 33.94 standard deviation. Again, not spectacular velocity numbers, probably some of the higher numbers I've had with H4350, so again, I'm going to take these with a grain of salt. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings. The numbers on this with the Reloder-16, again, were very high extreme spread-wise and standard deviation. I had 26.14 for a low, 27.26 for a high, 26.84 as an average, 112.5 as a extreme spread, and a 41.52 as a standard deviation. Not good numbers there. So the reason why I shot 8 with the Reloder-16 and the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings were because those were the last 8 bullets I had. So I loaded up what I had. I wanted to verify that I could group these. And let's go back and talk about something else too. So the day before I shot this group, I did a jump test. And I wanted to see if, again, so I have a 50 thousandths inch jump to this bullet when it's loaded at at max overall length for my magazine of 2.30. I wanted to see if I could get maybe a better group by increasing that jump. I know some bullets are jump sensitive where they need to be really close to the lands or have a really big jump. So I wanted to increase that jump in thousandths of an inch increments. So I shot 5 at 2.30, 5 at 2.29, 5 at 2.28, 2.27, 2.26. 2.30 was my best, and that group was 0.79 inches, 0.75 MOA. So I did get this load to group, and it's pretty, I mean, that's a good group. I'm okay with that. And I would have been happy if this, my 8-shot group would have been within an MOA. Again, MOA is my goal. Sometimes you get better, but you know, everything has to line up for that. So I'm not sure what happened with those 8 rounds, that they just went crazy. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary when I was loading them. I was very very precise about my overall length on both of those. I was using my Hornady die set with the micrometer adjustment, and I measured each round once I seated the bullet, and also again before I crimped it. So I was very positive that the numbers that I have written down and what I was loading to are what those rounds were. So I don't know exactly what happened. It's definitely a head scratcher, and I hate to leave the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings with that group, but I think I'm gonna. Again, I'm out of bullets, so unless I get more, I'm probably not coming back to that anytime soon. I did also get them to group with H4350 at also this overall length. The velocities were lower, but they did group. So I don't know. Like I said, it's just going to have to be a head scratcher, and I'm going to have to put that in the, I don't know why at this point. Maybe I'll come back and touch on it at some point, or if I ever get more bullets. So that being said, it wasn't a total loss, because I do like what I ended up getting with my Barnes match burners, so I'm happy there. Those numbers get squirreled away in my reloading book of loads that I keep. As far as brass goes, I don't think there was anything. These are the ones that I shot with the Barnes match burners. I don't see anything crazy with them. There may be a couple ejector swipes, but again, that's something that I see all over the place. That's always something that shows up even with factory loads and pretty much everything I've loaded with the 224 Valkyrie. I did not see anything crazy with the 95 grain Sierra Match Kings, also with the, the 25.6 grains of powder. I did mention that at 26.4 I did see possibly some primer flattening maybe, but it seemed okay. Other than the neck splitting, that was the only real issue, so I didn't expect anything at a lower powder charge. So that being said, I don't think I have anything else to add to this video. As always, if you get a chance to check out the Reloaders Network, go ahead and stop in there and check that webpage out. And also there's the 224 Valkyrie, I think it's called Valkyrie Ascending now. It was a 224 Valkyrie Facebook reload, 224 Valkyrie Reloaders Facebook page, but they renamed it just a day or two ago. They had some issues with Facebook, and it ended up getting renamed. I don't know all the details about it, but it's now, I think, 224 Valkyrie Ascending. Both those I'll put links in the description if you get a chance to check either of those places out. Bunch of great people, bunch of great information. Everybody there is just willing to help out if you have any questions or anything. So, that being said, I truly appreciate you watching. This is Big Man's Outdoors. Till next time, have fun outside.